So this is a story that broke today in the Intercept. Top Nancy Pelosi aide privately tells insurance executives not to worry about Democrats pushing Medicare for all. So I told you already before I even get into the story, in order to get Medicare for all, you're going to have to get in the streets. Am I wrong about that? Do you see this happening without that? I mean, there's just...
No, we cannot rely on electoral politics alone for any type of real progressive change. It's just not going to work that way. It never has in the past.
You need to have both things happening.
Right.
You need to have both things happening. It needs to take a big movement behind it.
I agree. So let's get into this real fast. So this guy named Wendell Primus, he's a Nancy Pelosi advisor. And the guy actually has a reputation as being like a guy who stands up against big pharma and stuff, right? So he detailed 5 objections to Medicare for all and said that Democrats would be allies to the insurance industry in the fight against single-payer health care. That's all you really need to know. There's a whole rest of a story, but there it is right there. That's all you really need to know. A Pelosi advisor, a guy who's known for standing up to them, said, don't worry about it. He detailed 5 objections. Primus pitched the insurers on supporting Democrats on efforts to shrink drug prices, specifically by backing a number of measures that the pharmaceutical lobby is opposing. So there you go. That's something. Primus, in a slide presentation obtained by The Intercept, criticized single payer on the basis of cost. So that's him just being a liar. Monies are needed for other priorities, is what the article says he said. Monies are needed for other priorities. That's a made-up thing. We don't have a limited supply of money in the United States. And you know how I know that? Whenever they want to give another $1 trillion to the bank, they print it and give it to them. Hey, let's give them another $1 trillion. Boom. You know what they do? They just add a zero. That's not me saying that. That's Ben Bernanke said that. That's how you do quantitative easing. And hey, by the way, they wanted a couple $200 billion extra a year for the military that nobody wanted to give them. They got it. Nobody said there's not enough monies. They just print it and give it to them.
But let's just pretend for a second that's not the case. What are his higher priorities?
What is your higher priority? Mm-hmm. Monies are needed. Oh, great point, Ron. Great point. What are your monies are needed other place? What do you got? Some street sweeping you need to get taken care of?
Yeah.
No, this is for bombs. That's what this is about. So, back on, he said, and monies are needed for other priorities. Opposition, stakeholders are against, creates winners and losers, and implementation challenges. We have recreated the slide. So they have the slides. I'll show you at the end of this. So this guy made a presentation to the insurance buddies who fund them. And he was like, hey, here's how we're going to pose the thing. And here's the problem. And they had a slideshow. Henry Connolly, a spokesperson for Pelosi, said that the assessment of single payer was not related to any deal making with the industry. A spokesperson for Pelosi said the assessment of single payer was not. We're just fucked up all on our own. We're stupid all on our own. Isn't that what he's saying?
And he's also saying the sky isn't blue, grass isn't green. Has nothing to do with the industry, I swear.
Nothing to do with it. Nothing to do. But who are you going to believe, him or your lying eyes? So, we're not going to barter lower prescription drug costs for inaction in the rest of the healthcare industry. That's exactly what you're going to do. That's exactly what you're going to do. The presentation was a broad look at the healthcare environment and some of the House Democrats' legislative priorities over the next 2 years in a period of GOP control in the Senate and White House. Connolly said, the biggest obstacles facing Medicare for all right now are Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump, he added. That's not true. You could get Donald Trump to go along with Medicare for all. You could totally get him to. So that's not true at all. The biggest obstacle right now is the bought Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. Your Democratic Party. That's your biggest opposition right now because they're not even pushing it now. But in the near term, there is a window for Democrats to press Trump to help pass aggressive legislation to negotiate down the skyrocket. So this is it. This is what they're doing. We're going to be a little less shitty than the Republicans on health care. That's what this is. We're going to be a little bit better. We're not going to give you what you want. We're not going to give you the actual solution to the problem. We're going to do this. And we're going to act like we're really fighting for you because then we kind of are. But what they're really doing is fighting against you. to make sure you can't have what the rest of the world has. Primus concluded his presentation with a bullet point that summarized Pelosi's mission on healthcare: lower your healthcare costs and prescription drug prices. That's her goal, her ultimate goal. Not Medicare for all. There it is. By the way, you're not going to lower healthcare costs. Do you think people's premiums are going to go down ever? Is that what she says? Because premiums have skyrocketed since Obamacare was introduced. So you're going to get it back to when we started? You're not going to do that. Healthcare is too expensive right now. It costs $20-some thousand a year just for insurance for 2 people. This is not a sustainable system. At the briefing, Primus mentioned 3 avenues that Pelosi, a California Democrat, sees toward lowered drug prices, sources said. The first, I don't even want to go through this. I couldn't care less about this. I'm not even going to go through this. She has here's her bullshit agenda to help lower drug. Just give me Medicare for all, would you? Just do it and negotiate with drug companies to lower down that's how you do it. She's got a 3-page, the first, that CREATES Act is a bipartisan legislation strongly opposed by Big Pharma that would make it easier for generic drug companies to get access to a sufficient quantity of medications needed to produce generics. Again, this is all around the edges. There's 30 million people that don't have access. This is all around the edges. This is what this is. The second measure addresses what's known as pay for delay, in which a drug company pays a generic manufacturer to not produce a generic version of an expensive drug. Democratic leadership wants to ban that practice. These are all good things. That's a good thing. The third revolves around the issue of evergreening, which is pharmaceutical industry practice of extending patent protection for a particular drug through a variety of practices. Democrats want to restrict evergreening to encourage cheaper generics and make it out to be. So those are all good things.
Basically, they want to crack down on 2 things that should have been illegal in the first place.
That's exactly right. Thank you very much, Ron. They're acting like reformers when this is the most corrupt thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, Jimmy, I just have to say, when I see that they're talking about pharmaceutical prices and all that, I just came back from getting prescriptions. I can't believe how much money that people are required to spend on drugs that maintain their health.
How much did you have to spend?
Over $200.
Just now, you went and got some prescriptions.
Yes.
And that's for 1 month.
Yes.
Yep. The Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, which operates under Pelosi, in 2017, presented House Democrats with survey data claiming that it showed that single payer was a political loser. So Pelosi gave bogus information to her own caucus that said single payer is a loser politically. Then they all went and ran on Medicare for all, and they won. So this is, again, they're just corporatists. Pelosi's agreement to hold House hearings on Medicare for all came after pressure from the Congressional Progressive Caucus. Oh, so the only reason they're even going to give a hearing on Medicare for all is because they had to pressure her into it, and it's not even in front of the House Ways and Means Committee. The House Ways and Means Committee can actually do something about it. It's in front of the Budget Committee, which, unlike the power, so it's in front of the wrong committee. So it's neutered. And here's the slides. Universal coverage. This is what they're trying to. Agreement in Democratic caucus on the importance of universal coverage. So this is what they're going for. Improving the ACA. A single payer. What's wrong with single payer? The cost. It creates winners and losers. Stakeholders are against it. Monies are needed. So this is why they're against it. There it is. That's the slide Nancy Pelosi put together to show the insurance. This is why we're against single payer. Costs too much. What?
It costs less.
It costs less.
It costs less. Creates winners and losers. The winners,
Everybody.
everybody that freaking lives here. The losers, the for-profit insurance industry that shouldn't be legal in the first place. Those are the losers.
Well said, Ron. So this is your Democratic Party. That's what they're doing. This is the leadership that was voted for by the Progressive Caucus. Nobody would run against her in the Progressive Caucus. Nobody. The Progressive Caucus isn't progressive. Just so you know, there's about 5 progressive people in Congress. The Progressive Caucus has 90 people in it. They're not progressive. We're announcing our live dates for 2019. We're going to Chicago and Portland, Seattle, New York, all over the country. Go to jimmydorcomedy.com for a link for all our tickets to all our shows. It'll be right underneath there, too. Please become a patron if you like our content and help support the show. You can become a patron for $5 a month, and we give you hours of bonus material. And make sure you're subscribed. They unsubscribe people every day. I'm not kidding. Make sure you're subscribed and click that bell so they give you a notice when we drop a video. It's the only thing we can do to fight back against the bastards. Thanks for your support.